This is ECP therapy, external counterpulsation therapy. This is a concentrated form of aerobic exercise. 35 treatments is usually what's recommended for a full treatment schedule. And that is the equivalent of 5 years of, would be the exact same thing as 5 years of intensive marathon training for the aerobic benefit. Aerobic exercise is probably the most important treatment for cardiovascular disease. That's acknowledged by everybody. One of the problems is that people who have already cardiovascular disease is actually being able to do aerobic exercise at that point, because their ability to actually complete a good aerobic exercise program is very, very difficult. This is a passive type of aerobic exercise. What people do is they actually lay down, and we have a pumping of the legs, starting at the calves, pumping the blood up to the heart. The heart is a different type of an organ. When we actually get our oxygenation to every other portion of our body is when the heart actually contracts. The heart contracts and then we get oxygenated. The heart, on the other hand, actually gets its oxygenation when it goes into a relaxation stage. That's when the blood pumps back in and fills up the arteries of the heart, and the heart actually gets oxygenated. Now, we have a defect with our heart and our cardiovascular system. It's dependent upon us doing aerobic exercise. Now, that wasn't a problem in non-modern industrial world, because everybody got aerobic exercise. That's why in more primitive societies, in societies in Africa, or people who don't have the technology that we have nowadays, they actually are doing aerobic on a daily basis, and they actually get the blood going into the heart. We, on the other hand, drive every place. We sit at our job, at our desks, and with that, we aren't getting the oxygenation up to the heart. If you don't do aerobic exercise, you have about 40% less blood going to the heart than if you are doing aerobic exercise. So it's very important that we can re-oxygenate that heart, because deprivation of that oxygenation of the nutrient to the heart on a continual type of a basis will start to lead to the many different types of cardiovascular disease that we find nowadays. However, with the ECP, we can get a huge amount of blood going up, because as the heart actually goes into rest, that's when the ECP actually works. It will actually pump the blood up into the heart in a massive amount, and you get a huge amount of oxygen and nutrition, and the heart really completely can regenerate. We've had people who had enlarged hearts, who were going into congestive heart failure, that really nothing was thought that could be done. And with seven weeks of treatment on this, the heart not only recovered, but it also shrank in size to almost as if they had never had the congestive heart failure before. Very, very amazing, and it's amazing if you give the body the things that it actually needs, that it can actually regenerate and heal if it's allowed to. Now, an example of that, we had a gentleman who was going into congestive heart failure, and he hadn't really been able to do any type of major type of work in 10 years. We were able to go on ahead and do 7 weeks of treatment on that, and about halfway through, he was starting to chop a whole cord of wood. Then he was actually doing a whole truckload. He hadn't been able to do that in, as I said before, in 10 years. So the ability of the body to start to recuperate is quite amazing, and then once we add aerobic exercise onto that, because now the patient can, we start to get some real type of healing. With maintaining on that, you can actually reverse your cardiovascular age.